The first time Maya touched Alexander Vaughn, she was unconscious. "You need to move." Maya's eyes snapped open, heart lurching into her throat. She jerked upright, disoriented, the cabin lights dim around her. Night flight. Right, she was working, she was. Oh God. She'd fallen asleep, on a passenger. Her head had been resting on the shoulder of the man in seat 3B, a broad shoulder in an expensive charcoal suit, now slightly wrinkled where her cheek had pressed against it. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, stumbling backward into the aisle. Her legs felt like water. When had she last slept? Tuesday, Wednesday. The days had blurred together into one endless shift after another. "I didn't mean to. I'll get you a complimentary upgrade, extra pillows, anything." I said move. The man's voice was cold, controlled. "You're blocking the aisle." Maya's face burned. She stepped aside quickly, nearly tripping over her own feet. The man, tall, dark-haired, maybe late 30s, regarded her with pale gray eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. Her rumpled uniform, the dark circles she tried to cover with concealer, the way her hands trembled slightly as she smoothed her skirt. "Are you ill?" he asked, not with concern, with assessment. "No, sir, I'm fine. You just fell asleep standing up and collapsed onto a passenger. That's not fine. It won't happen again." "When did you last sleep?" The question was sharp, precise. Maya's throat tightened. I'm professional, I can handle." That wasn't an answer. "Tuesday," she admitted, the word barely audible. "Maybe. I've been covering shifts. My coworker's out sick and I need the hours, so She stopped, realizing she was explaining herself to a stranger, a first-class passenger who probably thought she was incompetent. "I'm sorry. This won't happen again. Please don't report me." Something flickered in his expression. Not sympathy exactly, more like recognition. "Sit down," he said. "I can't." "Sit, before you collapse again." "Sir, I have passengers to attend to." "There are 2 other flight attendants working this cabin, and most passengers are asleep. Sit down for 5 minutes before you hurt yourself." Maya glanced around the dimly lit cabin. He was right. The other attendants were managing fine, and hardly anyone was awake at 2 a.m. on a red-eye flight. But sitting felt like admitting defeat, like confirming she couldn't handle her job. "I'm Alexander Vaughn," the man said, as if that explained something. When she didn't react, his mouth twitched, almost a smile. "You don't know who I am." "Should I?" "Most people do, which is why this conversation is refreshing." He gestured to the empty seat beside him. "Sit. 5 minutes. Then you can go back to running yourself into the ground." There was something in his tone, not kindness exactly, but a lack of cruelty, that made Maya's defenses crack. She sank into the seat, every muscle in her body screaming with exhaustion. "When you say you need the hours," Alexander said, still watching her with those assessing eyes, "what does that mean? Why do you care?" "Curiosity. When someone is exhausted enough to fall asleep on a stranger, there's usually a story." Maya laughed bitterly. "There's always a story, doesn't make it interesting." "Try me." She should deflect, should make an excuse and get back to work. But something about the late hour, the exhaustion, the fact that this stranger would forget her the moment he left the plane, it made her honest. "My brother," she said quietly. "He's 16, leukemia. The treatments are expensive and insurance only covers so much, so I work every shift I can get, double shifts, red eyes, holidays, because if I do," she stopped, throat tight. "If I don't, he doesn't get better." Alexander was quiet for a long moment. "And you? What about me? When do you rest? When do you take care of yourself?" "I don't." The words came out flat, matter of fact. "I can't afford to." "That's not sustainable." "I know." Maya stood, legs shaky but holding. "But it's all I have, so thank you for not reporting me, Mr. Vaughn. I should get back to work." She turned to leave. "Wait." She paused, looking back. Before we continue, can I ask you a question? Where in the world are you watching from? Comment below because we'd love to know how far these stories travel, and hit that subscribe button. Alexander's expression had shifted, something warmer beneath the ice. You fell asleep on my shoulder for maybe 30 seconds before you woke up. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't move you. Maya blinked. What? I felt you start to fall, could have shifted away, let you stumble, but I didn't. He seemed almost puzzled by his own admission. For the first time in years I felt peace, just for a moment, someone trusting enough or exhausted enough to let their guard down completely. I didn't mean to. I know, that's what made it real. He pulled out a business card, held it out. When you're ready to stop destroying yourself for survival, call me. Maya stared at the card, heavy stock embossed lettering. Alexander Vaughn, CEO, Vaughn Industries. I don't need charity, she said. Good, because I don't give it. His eyes met hers. But I recognize exhaustion when I see it, and I recognize someone who deserves better than what they're getting. Call me. She took the card, fingers numb. Then she walked away before she could do something stupid like cry. The rest of the flight passed in a blur. Maya served drinks, collected trash, smiled until her face ached. Alexander Vaughn stayed in his seat, working on a laptop, occasionally glancing up when she passed. She could feel his eyes on her, assessing, considering. It should have made her uncomfortable. Instead, it made her feel seen. When the plane landed at Lax, Maya helped passengers disembark, her body moving on autopilot. She was so tired she could barely think straight. Ms. Hart. She turned. Her supervisor, James, stood in the galley with crossed arms and a disapproving expression. My office, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Her stomach dropped. James, I can explain. A passenger reported you sleeping on duty. It was 30 seconds. You fell asleep on a passenger. Do you have any idea how that looks? I was covering for Sarah, and I've worked 6 doubles this week. That's not an excuse, it's negligence. James's expression was cold. We'll discuss your future with the airline tomorrow. Until then, you're suspended. Suspended, which meant no pay, which meant. That won't be necessary. Both Maya and James turned. Alexander Vaughn stood in the doorway of the galley, still impeccably dressed despite the 6-hour flight. He looked at James with the kind of calm authority that made grown men nervous. Mr. Vaughn, James stammered, I didn't realize you were still. The incident you're describing didn't happen the way you think, Alexander said smoothly. Ms. Hart wasn't sleeping. She was assisting me with a medical issue, discreetly, professionally. I asked her to remain nearby in case I needed further assistance. Maya's eyes widened. That was a lie. A complete, blatant lie. James frowned. A medical issue. Low blood sugar. I'm diabetic. Ms. Hart handled the situation with exceptional professionalism. In fact, Alexander pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. I'll be sending a formal commendation to your corporate office. She deserves recognition, not suspension. The email sent with an audible asterisk whoosh. James's face went pale. Of course, I apologize for the misunderstanding, Mr. Vaughn. Ms. Hart, you're not suspended. In fact, take tomorrow off. Paid, you've clearly earned it. He disappeared quickly, probably to damage control with corporate. Maya stared at Alexander. Why did you do that? Because he was wrong. You lied. I prevented an injustice. He adjusted his cufflinks. There's a difference. You can't just, she struggled for words. I don't need you to save me. I'm not saving you. I'm correcting a situation where someone was being punished for working too hard. His expression softened slightly. When I asked you to rest, you said you couldn't afford to. Now you have a day off. Use it. Sleep. Take care of yourself. Why do you care? The question came out more desperate than she intended. Alexander was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was lower, more honest. Because when you fell asleep on my shoulder, you trusted me without meaning to, and no one has trusted me, really trusted me, in a very long time. He paused. I want to understand why that mattered. I was exhausted. It didn't mean anything. Didn't it? Maya's breath caught. Before she could respond, Alexander stepped past her. The offer stands. When you're ready to talk, call me. Then he was gone. Maya stood alone in the empty galley, holding a business card that felt like a promise and a threat all at once. She didn't call. Not the next day, not the day after. Maya took her paid day off and slept for 14 hours straight. When she woke, her brother was texting her updates from the hospital. The treatment was working. The doctors were optimistic. He'd be home by Friday. Good news, finally good news. But the medical bills kept coming, and her bank account kept shrinking. By Thursday, Maya was back at work, back to double shifts and forced smiles and exhaustion that lived in her bones. She kept the business card in her uniform pocket. Friday night, her brother came home. Maya made his favorite dinner, mac and cheese from a box, because that's all she could afford, and sat with him while he talked about school, about his friends, about the future he was starting to believe in again. You look tired, Maya, he said quietly. I'm fine. You're always fine. He was too perceptive for 16. When are you going to take care of yourself? When you're better. I am better. When you're completely better. He sighed but didn't argue. That night, alone in her tiny apartment, Maya pulled out Alexander's card. She stared at it for 20 minutes. Then she dialed. He answered on the first ring, Maya. Her breath caught. How did you? Caller ID, and I've been waiting for you to call. You don't even know me. Then let me, a pause, have you eaten today? The question was so unexpected she laughed. What? It's 9 p.m. Have you eaten? I had coffee. That's not food. She could hear rustling like he was moving. There's a diner near your apartment, Mel's. Meet me there in 30 minutes. How do you know where I live? Your employee file is accessible to anyone who requests a commendation. He said it matter-of-factly. 30 minutes. If you don't show up, I'll assume you want me to leave you alone. If you do, we'll talk. The line went dead. Maya sat staring at her phone. This was insane. Meeting a stranger, a billionaire stranger, at a diner late at night. Every instinct screamed that this was dangerous, inappropriate, a terrible idea. But something else whispered, what if he's right? What if you deserve better? 28 minutes later, Maya walked into Mel's diner. Alexander sat in a back booth, looking utterly out of place in his expensive suit among the cracked vinyl and fluorescent lights. He looked up when she entered, and something in his expression softened. You came, he said. I'm an idiot, Maya replied, sliding into the booth across from him. You're brave. Those aren't the same thing. They are when you've been hurt enough to confuse them. A waitress appeared, tired, friendly, smelling like coffee and grease. What can I get you, honey? Maya ordered soup and toast because it was cheap. Alexander ordered steak and asked for her order to be doubled, ignoring her protests. When the waitress left, they sat in awkward silence. Why am I here? Maya asked finally. Because you're exhausted and lonely, and you deserve someone to see that. You don't know me well enough to. I know you work yourself to death for someone you love. I know you apologize for taking up space. I know you fell asleep on a stranger and your first instinct was panic, not anger. Alexander leaned forward. I know enough. Why do you care? Because I've spent 15 years being untouchable, powerful, respected, and completely, utterly alone. His voice was quiet, raw, and then you let their guard down for 30 seconds and I remembered what it felt like to be human. Maya's throat tightened. That's a lot of pressure to put on a stranger. I'm not putting pressure on you. I'm asking permission to know you. Why? Because you're real, and I'm tired of everything being performance. The food arrived. Maya ate mechanically, too overwhelmed to taste anything. Tell me about your brother, Alexander said. So she did. She told him about Sam, about how their parents died in a car accident when he was 10, how she'd become his guardian at 20, how she dropped out of college to work full-time when he got sick, about the fear that lived in her chest every day, the terror that she wouldn't be enough, that she'd fail him the way life had failed them both. Alexander listened without interrupting, without offering solutions or platitudes. When she finished, her soup was cold and her cheeks were wet. I'm sorry, she said, wiping her eyes. I don't usually. Don't apologize, not for being honest. This is too much. You're a CEO, a billionaire. You don't need to hear about my problems. What if I want to? Why would you want to? Because you matter, he said it simply, like it was obvious. Your exhaustion matters, your fear matters, your brother matters, you matter. I'm nobody. You're not nobody to me. The words hung between them, too heavy and too honest. Maya looked at him, really looked, and saw not arrogance or pity but loneliness that matched her own. I don't know what you want from me, she whispered. I want to help, however you'll let me. I can't pay you back. I'm not asking you to. He pulled out his phone, typed something. What hospital is your brother at? Why? Because I'm going to make a call. Ensure his treatment is fully covered. No more bills. Maya's heart stopped. You can't, I can't accept that. You're not accepting it, I'm giving it. There's a difference. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. I spend more than that on cars I never drive. This matters more. But why? Her voice broke. Why me? Why him? You don't owe us anything. Because when I was 22, my sister got sick, lymphoma, and I was broke. My company was barely surviving. All my money was tied up in investments I couldn't touch. I watched her suffer because I couldn't afford the experimental treatment that might have saved her. His voice was steel. She died, and I swore that if I ever had the power to prevent that kind of pain, I would. So this isn't charity, Maya. This is justice. Tears streamed down her face now. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stop working yourself to death. Say you'll sleep. Say you'll let someone help for once instead of carrying everything alone. I don't know how. Then let me teach you. Alexander kept his word. By Monday morning, Sam's medical bills were paid in full. The hospital called Maya personally to confirm. Every treatment, every medication, every follow-up appointment. Covered. She called Alexander immediately. You can't do this. I already did. His voice was calm, unbothered. How does it feel? Terrifying. Why? Because I don't know what you want in return. A long pause, then quieter. I want you to sleep through a full night, that's all. Can you do that? Maya's throat tightened. That's not a fair trade. It's the only trade I want. Sleep, Maya. Really sleep. And then tell me if the world looks different when you're not constantly afraid. She wanted to argue, to insist she couldn't accept this, to protect herself from the vulnerability of owing someone something. But she was so tired. So she said, okay. That night, for the first time in months, Maya went to bed at a reasonable hour. She expected to toss and turn, mind racing with anxiety about debts she couldn't repay and kindness she didn't deserve. Instead, she slept. Deep, dreamless, healing sleep. She woke at 9 a.m., 9 hours later, feeling like a different person. Her phone had 3 missed calls from Alexander, and 1 text. I hope you slept. When you're ready, I'd like to see you again. No pressure, no expectations, just coffee or dinner, or silence if that's what you need. Maya stared at the message for a long time. Then she texted back, coffee, today if you're free. His response was immediate, always free for you. Send me your address. He arrived at noon in a town car that looked absurdly expensive parked outside her building. When Maya climbed in, Alexander was already there, looking less formal than usual, dark jeans, a gray sweater, no tie. He looked human. You slept, he said, not a question, an observation. 9 hours. How do you feel? Like I forgot what this felt like. She settled into the leather seat. Where are we going? Somewhere quiet, where we can talk without interruptions. Somewhere quiet turned out to be a private rooftop garden in downtown LA. Lush greenery, comfortable seating, a view of the city that took her breath away. You own this? Maya asked. The building, yes. The garden is for residents, but no one uses it during the day. Alexander poured coffee from a thermos, real coffee, not the bitter airline sludge she was used to. I come here when I need to think. It's beautiful. So are you. Maya froze, cup halfway to her lips. Alexander's expression didn't change. I don't mean that as flattery. I mean you're beautiful the way exhausted things are beautiful when they finally rest, like a storm that's passed, or a held breath finally released. That's a strange compliment. I'm not good at normal compliments. I haven't given many. Why not? Because most people I meet want something from me, so compliments feel like currency, but you don't want anything. Everyone wants something, Maya said quietly. What do you want? The question was so direct it stole her breath. I want my brother to live, she said finally. I want to stop being so afraid all the time. I want to feel like I matter. You do matter. To who? To me. The words hung between them, intimate and impossible. You don't know me, Maya protested weakly. Then let me. He set down his coffee, giving her his full attention. I want to know everything, what you love, what scares you, why you became a flight attendant, why you apologize for existing, all of it. That's a lot. I have time. So she told him. About growing up with parents who loved her but struggled financially. About watching them work themselves to exhaustion to give her and Sam good lives. About the accident that took them both, sudden, brutal, unfair. About becoming a guardian at 20, terrified and unprepared. About dropping out of college because Sam needed stability more than she needed a degree. About choosing flight attendant work because the flexible schedule let her be there for doctor's appointments and parent-teacher conferences. About learning to be invisible, to take up less space, to apologize for needing things. I learned that asking for help meant disappointing people, she said quietly. So I stopped asking, I just handled it, everything, alone. That's not strength, Alexander said. That's survival. What's the difference? Strength is knowing when to ask for help. Survival is being too afraid to. Maya's eyes stung. I don't know how to be strong then. You saved your brother's life by working yourself to death. That's strong. You just need to learn that you're allowed to save yourself too. They saw each other every day after that. Coffee in the morning before Maya's shifts, lunch when she had breaks, dinner when she had evenings off. Alexander was careful, never pushing, never demanding, just present. He asked about her day, remembered details about Sam, made her laugh with dry observations about corporate politics. And slowly, carefully, Maya began to let him in. She told him about her fears, her dreams, the life she'd put on hold to care for her brother. He told her about building his company from nothing, about the loneliness of success, about his sister, Emily, who died at 19, and how her death had driven him to achieve everything he had, as if success could fill the void she'd left. I became untouchable after she died, he admitted one night. They were in his penthouse. He'd invited her for dinner, and she'd said yes without the usual panic. I decided that if I couldn't save the person I loved most, I'd at least save myself from ever being that helpless again. By never letting anyone close, Maya said softly. Yes, by making myself invulnerable, powerful, beyond reach. He looked at her. And then you fell asleep on my shoulder, and I realized invulnerability is just another word for loneliness. I'm not special. You are to me. The declaration was quiet, certain. Maya felt something crack open in her chest. The wall she'd built around her heart, the one that said she wasn't allowed to want things, to need things, to be anything other than self-sufficient. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. Do what? Let someone care about me, let myself matter. Then we'll figure it out together. He reached across the table, offering his hand. Maya stared at it, this simple gesture that felt like a choice, like stepping off a cliff without knowing if she'd fall or fly. She took his hand. Everything changed after that. Not dramatically, not with grand gestures or declarations. But Alexander started weaving himself into her life in small, essential ways. He arranged his schedule around hers, showing up at the airport after her late shifts with coffee and quiet conversation. He met Sam, who was initially suspicious, but gradually warmed to Alexander's dry humor and genuine interest in his life. He never tried to fix her, never treated her like a project or a problem to solve. He just stayed. And Maya started to believe that maybe, she was allowed to be happy. Then came the gala. Alexander had mentioned it in passing, a charity event for pediatric cancer research held annually in his sister's memory. He hadn't asked Maya to come, he'd simply said, I'd like you there, if you're comfortable. She wasn't comfortable. The idea of walking into a room full of billionaires and socialites, wearing a borrowed dress, pretending she belonged, it terrified her. But Alexander had asked, and she wanted to be there for him. So she said yes. The gala was exactly as overwhelming as she'd feared. Held in a luxury hotel ballroom, dripping with crystal chandeliers and designer gowns and the kind of wealth that felt obscene. Maya wore a simple black dress Alexander had sent, tasteful, elegant, but she still felt like an imposter. Alexander stayed close, his hand a constant presence at the small of her back, grounding her. You're doing fine, he murmured. I don't belong here. Neither do I. She looked at him, startled. You organized this event. Doesn't mean I belong. These people see me as a checkbook, someone to impress or exploit. You see me as Alexander. That's why you belong here more than anyone. His words should have comforted her. But then a woman approached, tall, blonde, impossibly beautiful in a dress that probably cost more than Maya's rent. Alex, she purred, it's been too long. Alexander's expression cooled. Vanessa. You remember, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I was hoping we could talk privately. I'm here with someone, he gestured to Maya. Vanessa's gaze flickered over her, dismissive, assessing. Oh, how sweet. The flight attendant from the news story, the one who fell asleep on you. Maya's stomach dropped. News story. You didn't know? Vanessa's smile widened. It went viral. Billionaire's midnight comfort. The photos of you two at that diner, the airport, his building. Everyone been speculating about Alexander's new charity case. That's enough. Alexander's voice was ice. But the damage was done. Maya felt the room spinning. Charity case, photos, speculation. Excuse me, she said, already backing away. I need air. She turned and fled before Alexander could stop her. She made it to the hotel garden before the tears came. Charity case. Of course that's what people thought. What else would they think? She was nobody, a flight attendant who'd literally fallen into Alexander's life. And he was him. Powerful, wealthy, untouchable. She'd been so stupid, believing this could be real, believing she could matter to someone like him. Maya. She turned. Alexander stood a few feet away, expression tight with something that looked like pain. "Don't," she said. "Don't tell me Vanessa's wrong. Don't tell me people aren't saying exactly what she said. They are saying it, because people are cruel when they don't understand something that doesn't fit their narrative." And what narrative is that? That I'm incapable of caring about someone without an ulterior motive, that you're incapable of being worth caring about. He stepped closer. But their narrative doesn't define us, unless we let it. Everyone thinks I'm using you. I don't. Or that you're using me, that this is some kind of pity project. It's not. Then what is it? The question came out desperate. Because I don't understand, Alexander. I don't understand why you choose someone like me, someone with nothing to offer except yourself, he interrupted. Your honesty, your strength, your ability to see me as human instead of a bank account. His voice dropped. You think you have nothing to offer. You gave me peace when I'd forgotten what that felt like. You made me remember why I built my company in the first place, not for power but to help people, to matter. I'm not special. You are to me, and I don't give a damn what Vanessa thinks or anyone else. He closed the distance between them. I'm choosing you, Maya, visibly, publicly, completely. The only question is whether you'll choose me back. Maya's breath caught. I'm terrified. So am I. What if I'm not enough? What if you're exactly enough? She looked up at him, this impossible man who'd somehow become essential, and saw not pity, not obligation, but something that looked terrifyingly like love. I don't know how to do this. She whispered. Neither do I, but maybe we figure it out together. He cupped her face gently, thumbs brushing away her tears. I'm choosing you, he said again. Not because you need saving, but because you make me want to be better, to feel more, to live instead of just exist. What if I mess this up? Then we mess it up together. And then he kissed her. Soft, careful, reverent. The kiss of someone who'd forgotten how to be gentle and was relearning through her. When they pulled apart, Maya was crying again, but this time not from fear. From hope. They went back inside together. Vanessa was still there, holding court with a group of donors. When she saw them, Alexander's arm around Maya's waist, Maya's chin lifted with new determination, her expression soured. Alexander walked them straight past her, didn't acknowledge her, didn't justify or explain. Just claimed Maya publicly, proudly, completely. And Maya let him. Because she was tired of apologizing for taking up space, tired of believing she didn't deserve good things, tired of surviving when she could be living. They stayed for another hour, Alexander introducing her to colleagues, Maya talking about Sam's recovery, both of them ignoring the whispers and speculation. By the time they left, Maya felt different. Lighter, freer. Scene. Can I ask you something? Maya said as Alexander drove her home. Anything. That first night, on the plane, when I fell asleep on your shoulder, why didn't you move? Alexander was quiet for a moment. Because I felt something I hadn't felt in 15 years. Trust. Real, unconscious trust. You were so exhausted you couldn't maintain your armor and you leaned on me without thinking, without strategy or calculation. Just trust. That terrifies me. It terrified me too, because it meant I wasn't as untouchable as I thought, that I was still capable of wanting connection. And now I'm grateful, because you reminded me that being touched isn't weakness, it's being human. 3 months later, Maya walked through Lack's terminal with Sam beside her. He was healthy now, hair growing back, smile bright and real. You sure about this? He asked. About what? Moving, leaving the apartment, starting over. Maya smiled. I'm not starting over, I'm starting new. There's a difference. They made the decision together, her and Alexander. She'd keep working but cut back on hours. Focus on finishing her degree. Move into his building, not his penthouse, not yet, but her own apartment on a lower floor. Close but separate, together but independent. Learning to be loved without losing herself. There he is, Sam said, pointing. Alexander stood near the baggage claim, looking absurdly out of place in his suit among the chaos of arriving passengers. When he saw them, his expression softened, that small, private smile he saved just for her. Maya crossed to him and he pulled her close, not possessively, just close. "How was the flight?" he asked. "Long, but I slept." "Good." Sam cleared his throat. "I'll grab our bags." When he'd wandered off, Alexander cupped Maya's face. "I missed you." "I was gone 3 days." "I know, I still missed you." She laughed. "You're ridiculous." "I'm in love with you." The words were quiet, simple, true. Maya's breath caught. "Alexander." "You don't have to say it back. I just wanted you to know you matter to me. Not because I saved you, you saved yourself, but because you let me be part of that. You let me see you, really see you, and that," his voice caught, "that changed everything." Maya felt tears prick her eyes, the good kind. "I love you too," she whispered. "I didn't think I was allowed to, didn't think I deserved it, but I do, and I love you for teaching me that." He kissed her, soft and unhurried, in the middle of a crowded airport, surrounded by strangers who didn't matter because in that moment, they were the only two people in the world. When they pulled apart, Maya rested her forehead against his. "I used to think being broken meant being invisible," she said softly. "And now I think being broken just means being human, and humans deserve to be seen, to be chosen, to matter." "You've always mattered," Alexander said. "You just needed someone to remind you." "And you needed someone to remind you that being untouchable isn't the same as being strong. We're good at that, reminding each other." "We are." Sam returned with their bags, rolling his eyes at their closeness, but smiling despite himself. "Can we go home?" he asked. "I'm starving." "Home," Maya repeated. The word felt different now. Not a place she survived in, but a place she lived, where she was seen and chosen and loved. Alexander took her hand. "Home." They walked toward the exit together, Sam chattering about dinner plans, Alexander listening with quiet attention, Maya feeling lighter than she had in years. The terminal hummed around them, people rushing, announcements echoing, life moving forward with indifferent momentum. But in the small space they'd created, this chosen family of 3, everything felt still, peaceful. Right. Maya had spent years being invisible, believing that taking up space was selfish, that needing things was weakness. But Alexander had taught her differently. He taught her that being seen wasn't vulnerability, it was courage. That being chosen wasn't luck, it was recognition. That being loved wasn't a debt to repay, it was a gift to accept. And as they stepped out into the California sunshine, Maya finally understood. She wasn't too broken to be seen. She wasn't too tired to be chosen. She wasn't too ordinary to matter. She was exactly enough. And she always had been. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I truly appreciate you for spending your time here. It means a lot more than you know. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I really want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Your support helps the channel grow and brings more stories like this your way. Thank you for being here. More amazing stories are coming, don't miss them.